Hello guys, welcome back to Custom Gamer. My name is Daz and today we're going to be playing a new mod called Aberration for Half-Life 2 Episode 2. This was released on the 10th, a couple of days ago, and it is by HoliestCow. Now this is a kind of horror action kind of mod. It reminded me a lot of the game F.E.A.R. First, what does it stand for? First Assault? I can't remember. That game by Monolith, which came out years and years ago. I haven't played any of the sequels, but this mod reminded me of it a lot, and it shares some of the same problems with F.E.A.R. actually, kind of a pacing issue of in F.E.A.R. you had these like balls to the wall, crazy action scenes with like kind of John Woo style gunplay, and then you'd have a section straight afterwards, which is kind of slow, methodical plodding through maps with kind of jump out of your skin scares. This map kind of follows the same kind of model here. You had these kind of exploratory moments where you're just kind of going forwards in a straight line through the map, and then you have these crazy gun battles kind of in between that. And I think the issue I've got with these kind of slow paced moments is that while they should feel exploratory, that they actually don't. There's kind of like there's one linear path through the map, and there's lots of little side rooms, but there's never anything in them. Like even things like supplies are kind of hard to come by. All these rooms are here, but they don't actually serve any purpose whatsoever. They just end up kind of distracting and confusing me as I was playing it. As a lot of them look very similar. Now in this first area here, you'll notice that you get some text telling you what to do, like when you use the door it said you needed a key. So I was just kind of walking around trying to find this key, and unfortunately, because I'm blind as a bat, I didn't notice the boarded up window next to that white door there, so we'll just skip ahead to where I do find it, save you guys some pain. And this is kind of another issue I had with this mod, like important areas are they're not highlighted in the world. You notice it's very, very dark. I've actually upped the gamma for this video fairly considerably. There we go, got our key, so we can go and open that door now. But yeah, like talking about kind of critical path in games, like the route the player has to take in order to progress. Like there's a couple of areas in this mod where the critical path just isn't highlighted whatsoever, and it's just completely easy to just walk right by, you know, this critical like it'll be like a ladder or a door, or you know, that window back there, and it's just completely smothered in darkness, and it's just so easy to miss. It actually caused me a lot of frustration during this mod. There's a couple of areas I'll talk about when we get to them where there's just like a ladder going down to another part of the map, and it's just completely smothered in darkness. It's hidden in a really obscure corner as well. It's a bit of a shame. So we get another key here, which we use to open another part of the door, and this is another part of the map that confused me as well. You notice this white door that I've just looked at there is actually locked, and that key I just picked up wasn't for that. I'm guessing it was for this white door here. I actually found the key before I found the door unlocked, which is another issue in itself. You're finding the solution before you find the problem. So I come in here and you know, I'm bashing down all these props because I can see something behind here. And at some point when you're exploring around in this room, the white door behind me magically opens, and I can't figure out why. As far as I can tell, there's some trigger in here which causes it to open, but I just don't understand why it's set up that way. I was expecting there to be a kind of route through here, but no, it's just a room with a light in it. This confused me again. Like I felt like as you needed a key to get in this area, I felt like it was going to be important, and it turns out there's absolutely nothing in here apart from a trigger to open a door behind you. It's just very, very bizarre. Don't really understand why it's set up that way. So I think that covers a few of the initial problems I had with this mod, but on some of the positive side, it's very pretty. it really does feel like a kind of deserted, abandoned apartment kind of area. There's lots of great attention to detail, loads and loads of decals and overlays and things like that, which really kind of add an extra layer of detail to the scene. It's done really, really well here. There's a couple of areas where decals kind of go from the wall and not imprint onto the floor, which things like that are easy to avoid. It's a shame that it's been left like that in this mod, but for the most part the visuals are really, really nice. I do think it's a little bit too dark though. There's a lot of areas where you're just relying on your flashlight to see just absolutely everything. But yeah, there's nice attention to detail, like there's lots of like bits of local fog and kind of bits of dust that you see in the lights and all this kind of stuff. It's really, really nice to look at. It really does feel abandoned, which I like. You know, I think most of you guys know my preferences for kind of visuals in levels these days. Like, if it's old and dilapidated and kind of abandoned, then it gets my thumbs up. So again, you can see here there's kind of like there's lots of little rooms like this, and but you never really find anything in any of them. You just have to kind of, they may as well just be corridors at this point because there's nothing really here to explore. So I just think the pacing's lacking a little bit, because there's no real puzzles here, there's just kind of the odd enemy. It does tend to get a bit dull after a while. I mean, the only thing that keeps it vaguely interesting is like all these little kind of messages written on the wall that you see occasionally. But they're never really elaborated on. I mean, this is only part 1 of the mod, maybe it'll be explained better in part 2, but all these like messages on the wall, you never really find out what's going on with them. And it becomes apparent later on that some weird shit going on. Maybe the text on the wall ties into that somehow, but it's never really explained in this part of the mod. One thing I did like though is kind of, it's very, very rationed in its health and armor pickups. And when we get to the combat later on, it's actually gets pretty hard in places actually, as there's some fairly major difficulty spikes throughout this mod, which I suppose you can look at as a good and a bad thing. I think the amount of maps I've played recently where it's just been an absolute breeze to play through, and you know, health has barely dipped below 100 in places, so it's nice to play something that's a little bit harder, but it tends to kind of throw the difficulty at you without much warning. There's a fight near the end of the mod which if you've played it I'm sure you'll agree was just balls to the wall hard, and you don't get much chance to kind of prepare for it. Let's take out this guy. The mod does feature some new weapon molds and sounds and things like that. I believe he said he grabbed all this stuff from FPS Banana. And it's actually very high quality stuff. I really like this new pistol model and sound actually. It's very snappy. Do like it a lot. Now this is where things get a little bit strange. And this is where I had my first major problem with this mod. So it's a jumping puzzle with an instant death if you fail it. And then, as you'll see, put right back to the start of the level. There are absolutely no autosaves. And oh, this, yeah, just looking down at the floor in disgust. I really still don't understand why people don't put autosaves in their mods. Again, I mentioned this before in another video. Actually, I'm not quite sure if I've uploaded it yet, but I mentioned in this video that I think the only reason mappers don't put autosaves in their mod is because they playtest it themselves, and you know, it's easy when you playtest your own mod because you know exactly where things are and how to do all these jumps, and it's never really a problem for you. But yeah, if you're going to have an instant death pit like this, put a bloody autosave before the jump. So you'll notice here, I'm derping quite a bit here, to be honest, like. But yeah, having to restart the entire map if you fail one jump is a little bit too harsh in my opinion. So yeah, add an autosave. There's a couple of errors like this in the mod where it's something insanely hard you have to do, and if you fail it puts you right back at the start of the map. Less of that please, mappers. Less of that, it's not fun. So yeah, going back to kind of inspirations for this level, obviously F.E.A.R, I think, for me as well, and actually Cry of F.E.A.R, the Half-Life 1 mod, which I was doing a Let's Play of a couple of months back. I kind of gave up on that because the game was just pissing me off. Actually, funny that I bring that up actually, because the thing that made me stop playing that map was doing a really frustrating section of the map and then dying, and there wasn't an autosave after I'd done that section of map. So yeah, it kind of that's actually why it reminded me of this mod, and also the kind of action section split up by horror sections kind of reminded me a lot of Cry of F.E.A.R as well. I like the kind of upside down light there, kind of it's a nice little touch. And again, here is one of those sections where the map does a poor job of highlighting the route. So there's actually a gap in this chain link fence, like a door shaped hole, but because it's just steeped in darkness I don't see it, so I end up trying to find like a ninja way out. This is something that someone brought up to me in a Quake video I did a week or two ago with E1M5 Quoth by Kel. Kel emailed me saying you found the ninja solution to the super secret in that map. Which I thought was quite funny because there's actually a much easier way to get to the super secret in that map, and here I notice I find the ninja solution to, because I didn't see the obvious progression path through the door basically, I ended up looking for a ninja solution to the puzzle, which ended up jumping all over the environment. Just kind of interesting how players will find these really convoluted, tricky paths to get through your level if you don't communicate your critical route well enough. And it actually leads to a lot of frustration for the player in that regard as well. Because they think that that's the way to progress, when in actual fact they're just making it very hard on themselves. So we've got some more combat here, but unfortunately the hunter can't quite fit through this hole in the wall. Maybe it's meant to and it just got stuck, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a shame because all the Combine kind of gets stuck behind it as well. It would have been nice to see them all kind of pile into this room and attack you, but it wasn't to be, I suppose. I just grab some health and continue. This is where the difficulty kind of ramps up quite a bit. So here's the level transition. This is the start of the second map now. So again, we've gone back to kind of like a horror kind of style atmosphere now. And it's just very jarring when this happens because the firefights are very intense, and these kind of exploration and horror elements are generally very subdued and kind of, I'd almost call them boring, I think. If the level wasn't so pretty to look at, then I think it would be completely boring, but I think that's a trap a lot of mod authors kind of fall into when they do horror mods, is that, oh, it's got to be slow paced and it's got to be kind of dark and all this. It doesn't really, you just need to have a very strong atmosphere. I've played plenty of games where it's bright daylight and you're still shitting your pants. It's just all about the atmosphere you go for in your map. I think the kind of easiest way to create a tense atmosphere is just turn the lights off, People are generally afraid of the dark, but I think there's much more interesting ways you can create horror, especially in games. I don't think it's been explored well enough yet. I mean, you can look at games like Amnesia. I think that's probably the best example of a horror game the industry has ever seen. You only have to look at, videos on YouTube of just people ruining their underpants at that game. It's pretty obvious. It's one of the most intense experiences on the PC. Taking out some more Combine. The Combine generally start playing a much larger role as you progress further on in the mod, to a point anyway. Again, another thing, like with the explosion, there's a lot of kind of unopenable doors and things like that in this mod, and it doesn't even try to hide it really. They're just all over the place. Again, going back to there's only really one route you can take, and all these side rooms, there's nothing really there. I mean, even if you just put the Combine lock device on all these doors, at least then there's kind of a reason for them to be locked. I mean, as it stands, it's just kind of, oh, another locked door, wow. Gets a bit tiresome after a while. So, this is the end of part 1. There will be a part 2. This video was just slightly too long to all put in one part, so I'll put out a part 2 a little bit later on. We just take out these final Combine here. In part 2 is where the difficulty really starts ramping up. So we'll take a look at that next time. Enjoy, guys.